Okay. Okay, so we are on. Yeah, as I said, we basically jotted down the Kramers-Kronig relationships, which tell you how the the real part is related to the imaginary part. But in physically, that basically means that if you have a certain absorption characteristics, then how does it translate to the transmission characteristics, or the dielectric real part and imaginary part, physically measurable, what we have. If you can measure something, if some, for example, what we should do today is write down some specific uh, absorption properties, and see from them how you can use the Kramers chronic to find out how the dispersion works for the real part. I mean, that is typically the refractive index, how that changes. Okay. And as a very critically, what we actually, let me present the screen. Very critically, what we understood, what we concluded was, can you see my screen?
Yes, so
Yeah. So basically, this key takeaway was this one, where we say that a medium is dispersive only if it is absorptive. That is extremely critical. Basically, it says that if you do not have any kind of, if epsilon 2, which is the imaginary part, if that is 0, we essentially see that this is actually, the refractive index is constant. Epsilon 1, of course, the root of that is the refractive index. It tells you it is constant. There is no frequency dependence. And it also tells you that there is absorption at a certain frequency range. There has to be dispersion at even a different frequency range. And that is what we are basically going to do today. Applications of the Kramers-Kronig relationships. Of course, this needs, I will give you an assignment, which where you will need to do, you know, calculate these stuff. This is essentially all. Uh, this is all about interesting, I mean, algebra. I don't know whether it's interesting or not, but this is something that you need to do. You need to calculate. I'm sure you've heard that Penrose et al. Have got the Nobel Prize, and yeah, so that is again a testimony to imaginative physics, I guess, and also very very you know solid abilities to calculate, right? Because gravitation is all about doing extremely intensive calculations. Anyway, we can discuss that later. But let me just start today. It is not too much. It's not. I don't want to go, very very quickly or something. Uh, so what we are going to do today, as I kind of warned yesterday, was that we are going to do a lot of assumptions, and I will seek your, uh, you will probably, I expect a few objections. Let us see. Let us just proceed and see how it finally comes up. So I would basically write this as applications of the Kramers Kronig relationships. Okay. So first thing that we will look at is a simple characteristic. Okay, let us just write down the two, of course, because otherwise we don't need to go back every time. So this is what we wrote. The real part is given by 2 by pi principal value x epsilon 2 of x, sorry, epsilon 2 of x dx by x squared minus omega squared, and epsilon 2 of omega is minus 2 of omega pi 0 to infinity epsilon 1 x dx by again x square minus omega square. So case 1 is where basically we just so we are going to look at absorption. Okay, we are going to say that what happens if there is finite absorption, how the dispersion changes. I mean, so typically this epsilon 1, so it is the real part, but we the terminology is typically to describe this as dispersion. Okay, so it is, I mean, okay, this also has a frequency because absorption, obviously, what possibly is intended is to understand that absorption means a variation with frequency. Refractive index intrinsically does not. So when we say dispersion, it is typically uh, applied to the real part of the refractive index. Okay, so we are going to look at three cases, and the three cases are okay. So essentially, well, it's really sort of two cases where one case is where we have absorption only at a single frequency. Okay, it's like a delta function. The other things is with absorption happening over a finite frequency range, but we are going to look at two different limits of the dispersion. That is the high frequency limit of the dispersion and the low frequency limit of the dispersion. Okay, so the first one will be absorption, uh, absorption over a very, I mean, okay, I should not say very small. It's actually over a single frequency. It's better to write down what is mathematically what we are doing mathematically. That's what I'm going to write down over a single frequency omega naught. So essentially, what I'm saying is your omega, sorry, epsilon 2 is something like this. Okay, this omega naught, of course, is same as this, right? So this is like a delta function. Okay, so then what would then again we are trying to find out how epsilon 1 would look at, right? Epsilon 1 omega minus 1, how would that look like? So can you fatafat tell me, let me, if I'm just writing down the integral, can you tell me what it will look like? So it is just xk delta x minus x naught dx by x square minus omega square. क्या होगा ये? कैसा होगा ये आंसर?
It should be the function evaluated at x is equal to x naught, but I
Yeah, so
think divided
आंसर
by
क्या
2.
होगा? Divide by 2,
Because
क्यों?
yeah,
No,
because
not
from
divided by
0
2.
to
No, why divide by 2?
no, is the delta function. So sorry, the x is from 0 to infinity, right?
Yeah, not minus,
Okay,
no?
yeah. Then it's not. So
So
it's
it's
2
very
by
simple. So everybody, yeah, it's just 2 by pi
into x naught
k.
divided by
Yeah, exactly. So basically
x
k
naught square minus omega
x
square.
naught divide by x square minus omega square.
X naught
Everybody is
square.
fine with this?
X naught square.
It's not square.
Sorry. Thank you. X naught square minus omega square. Everybody fine with this? Huh? So basically, we can write this as some kind of k dashed by omega 0 square minus omega square, right? Everybody fine? K dashed is nothing but 2 by pi omega 0 k. Everybody fine? And so how does the absorption characteristic look like? Very simple, na? Sorry, not absorption. Very sorry. So absorption is a straight line. Dispersion will basically look like something like this, na? Right? This one, है ना?
Sir, what will happen if you have absorption at two frequencies or multiple
Wait,
frequencies?
wait, Rohan, don't get pareshan. We are going to do everything. This is the simplest part. But see, guys, you understand the power of this technique, right? हमको कुछ करना ही नहीं पड़ा, right? This is exactly what we know is what happens for the dispersion characteristic, right? This is the classic thing that we had, na? This is exactly the dispersion curve that we had before. इसको plot करेगा तो यही आएगा, right? So then this is really great, no? So we just write down this thing and beautifully you get exactly how the dispersion looks like. So as Rohan is exactly asked, he's preempted what I was trying to do, what I will do now, that is finite. Acha, agar, okay, so yeah, we are going to, this part is a lot of assumptions. I myself, I am a bit anyway, let us see what you guys have to say, whether we are reasonable or whether this is too much. Okay. So we typically don't look at, why the hell is this not getting small? Really at times this. Wow, what the hell? What is this happen? Something. Wait, I think this hung or something. Uh, See, it never happens like this. Okay, back. Wait. Okay. I don't know what whiteboard. If it suddenly decides to, betray me, I'm finished. Okay. So now we are going to look at case 2 and 3. So let me just say that case 2 and 3, both of them
Sir,
are.
previously
Huh,
the
Vishwajit, yes.
graph, yeah, the graph you have drawn is correct.
Huh.
I mean that at that omega zero,
Huh.
there will be value, right?
That
That
is
will be
one, no?
a
No, that is so
no.
at
That
omega zero, epsilon minus one is zero, right?
no. The
Which one? This you're saying, right?
Yeah,
yes,
like in the denominator we have omega naught
yeah,
minus
that will
omega,
goes
so
to
it should blow up at omega naught, right?
it
Like,
should load up. So that will that line will
Oh, okay. That is wait. What did I do? Um, yeah, this is wait. What is? Mm, right. So this is a problem, no? So 1 minute.
no. I
So
mean
hmm?
actually, sir, you can't expect the same nature of that full frequency, right? So
Hmm.
that line will be there will be a singularity of that particular value, and everything will go according.
Yeah,
At
but
omega zero, there will be a singularity.
typically, how do we justify this then? I mean, yeah, that is
No, so
correct.
so
Uh, so what do we
so
do to
there will
just?
be a
Uh,
straight line at omega zero. There will be a straight line. So this line, the left side line will go up to omega zero, and then right side
you're
line.
right. There is no damping. See, the problem here is there is no
Yes,
damping. So yeah, that is correct. I should not draw this. Correct. So this thing which should not be. Yeah, that is very true actually. So we should not join this here. So we should just go there, and then this part should be a problem, right? Yeah, that is very true.
yes.
So basically, damping is not there. That's a very good point. Yes, let me just redraw this. Right.
Sir, but what will happen
Right.
near that region of omega zero?
So see, basically, let me just draw this. So see, if you think of an undamped oscillator, you know that the characteristics sort of blow out, right? So essentially, what we shall have is, so you will basically have something like that and something like this, like this. Should not touch. So see, if you now think of classical this thing, I mean the oscillator problem, and we do not have any kind of a damping, then typically what just happens is the oscillator switches phase. Okay, so this is basically omega 0. So you just think of your harmonic oscillator case, where solution case where we do not have damping. So see, if you have damping, then there is a gamma square omega square here, right? So essentially, this thing will never be zero. So you will have that classic curve, as we said, as we have, right? So let me just write down this as omega. This is still fine. This is your k by omega 0 square, k dashed, and this is at omega 0. So basically what happens, Rohan, is that this will flip, the phase flips. Okay, and of course realistically you cannot have this, right? I mean, you will always have, I mean, this actual, when what we write this as, I mean, typically this guy, there will always be some kind of a damping as well. So that is essentially, so this x minus x naught, or like omega minus omega naught, is a problem. So basically we should have some kind of omega 0 squared plus gamma square or something like that here. Okay, so then you typically will have not just have this as right at omega 0. So obviously you will not have this singularity here, right? So this is
Sir,
huh.
But why didn't we take the minus omega gamma in the denominator?
That, so yeah, minus omega. See, this is again a very simple example that is worked out. So obviously for the correct, if you really want to see, essentially this is the, let me just write down. So this is the, maybe the undamped system. Okay, which is not realistic. This is not the real case, not the real case at all.
Sir,
So
but
in
like
reality,
absorption is like uh,
yeah,
like absorption and damping is similar, right? Or no? Is it
no,
different?
absorption. So basically, no, that is not correct. So damping essentially. So see, very important. So okay, so that is very crucial. So what we are assuming here, guys, I think this is a very good point we are discussing. So typically, guys, how is the absorption spectrum? It looks like this, right? So this is my omega 0, and this is my gamma, right? So typically, let me say, typically, this is what we have. What I told you now is something like this, where there is no width, right? Which is certainly not realistic. So the moment we are talking about, so any kind of a real case is having this. Okay, what I told you right now is not this. This is basically just no, there is no width at all. Okay, this is essentially, so this is, let me just say that, this is your typical absorption. Wait, exactly. It's too big, no? Typical absorption profile, right? This is that. Whereas what we have assumed is this. This is a delta function. So there is absolutely no width. So because there is no width, you will not have this. So this comes basically because of the width, because of the damping. So what Anirudh says, of course, in reality, you cannot have this missing. So obviously, you will never have this happening. There will be some kind of a some dissipation always. I mean, if we go to the quantum, then of course, that this is not possible, right? Because this violates the uncertainty principle. You cannot have something that is exactly at omega 0. You have to have an uncertainty. Of course, in terms of classical stuff, you will have some kind of electron collisions or all kinds of stuff like that, or you will have some pressure, so that pressure again is electron collisions and all. So you will never have this as a, and absorption, emission finally are those are quantum processes, we know. and of course this cannot ever happen. If we do assume, okay, let me just write this for the absorption profile. Okay, if we however assume something like this, then you would get this. Now what we shall do now, that is actually going to assume a finite width, but there are several assumptions that we are going to take. So is this part
One more thing, sir. I think the graph that you have drawn, it will be other way around. So
which one?
so the graph of
This
this
one?
epsilon omega minus 1. Yeah, this one, the new graph that you have drawn. If you will just see, if we put some point before omega, consider omega naught minus epsilon.
Okay, no. So typically you're saying from here.
No, means yeah. So just reverse means it will be just mirror image of this graph. Taking
no, this one is fine. So this will actually go and hit here. Okay, whether this is going to be no, but this is fine, no, because this one will at omega greater than omega 0. This is going to become negative, right? I am plotting epsilon minus 1.
Okay, just
this is actually epsilon omega minus 1, right? So you think of it, if this is x is omega is greater than omega 0, then this becomes negative, right?
No.
And at large omega, when this is infinity, then epsilon 1 minus omega will hit 0.
Okay. No, just
right?
see.
So this will go and hit here.
If we just put a point, just in place of omega naught plus epsilon. Okay. A point higher than omega naught. Then what it turns out that a number is a positive number. But as per your graph, it's a negative number.
No. I am increasing omega. No, this is fixed, boss. This is fixed. This is what I'm changing. I'm not changing this. This is fixed. This is the system resonance frequency, right? This is the frequency I'm changing. This is my variable. So if I change this, that's going to be negative, right? So if I go more than this, is going to be negative. Always going to be negative, na? This is never going to be positive, right? I'm not changing omega 0. I'm changing omega, right? So this is what I'm doing. So basically, this is not, again, as I said, this is physically not correct. Typically, you should have something like, the moment you have damping, you'll have this joint. But, right, so let us consider the damping case now. I mean, presence of finite absorption. Okay. So finite width of absorption gamma. Okay.
Sir, Rohan asking something, na, that multiple frequencies. So add multiple delta function and
that you just add. No, that is not going to change. If you just put two or three, which are, see, Rohan, do not confuse width with different delta functions. If I have absorption and you understand, right? So if you just have different absorption, delta functions, it doesn't make any. They will be same, just will be shifted, and that's not a real case. What we typically talk about absorption profile. Okay, absorption profile cannot be a delta function. It has to have a width. Okay, but again, what we are going to do now is, take several sort of assumptions, and the most crucial assumption that we are going to take. So essentially, we are going to look at two extremes of epsilon 1 at high frequency behavior of epsilon 1, at low frequency behavior of epsilon 1, provided, and that is very important, that assumptions, let me write the main assumption is that your omega naught, which is the resonance frequency, that is much greater than gamma. That is very crucial. Okay, and so this is a crucial assumption, that we are saying that the frequency at which you have the resonance, that value is much higher than the width of the resonance, which is a reasonable assumption, I guess, right? Because very rarely would you get a case where the width and the resonance are both same. That is very unlikely. And that large, I mean, then it's like it's like a constant thing. There is no change in sort of that's not a profile. That's almost like a constant thing, and that never happens in reality. Okay, so case 2 that we shall consider is the high frequency behavior of epsilon 1 omega. Okay, these are the two things. So what is very important, this is one, this is okay, let me just write, this is A, and the second assumption is that your epsilon 2 of x that we say, we are just saying that this is a Fourier basically the Fourier counterpart. So this is finite only over and omega 0 plus minus gamma. This is also very important. Okay, these are two crucial assumptions, that this is more than that and this is only valid for this kind of a width. Okay, so now one again, so the moment I look at this high frequency behavior, what I'm trying to say is that, so what do I mean by this? So essentially what I mean here is that so basically what we consider, essentially we consider frequencies which are much larger than the maximum absorption frequency. Okay, so please understand what I'm trying to say is, basically if I just draw it, I'm saying if this is my profile, say, okay, if this is omega 0 and say this is omega, capital Omega, then I'm considering frequencies, and this is my omega. I'm basically considering frequencies omega much greater than this. Okay, this is what I'm saying, that so we shall look at two extremes. One, because that allows us to do this integration easily. Okay, so the whole point of this Kramers-Kronig is how you can use certain things or standard integrals or whatever to solve that integration that we have, because remember that integration is from 0 to infinity. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now we will assume two things. Also, okay, again we know that my epsilon omega minus 1, that is okay. So I will directly, so it's, remember, right, it's basically 2 by pi. That is, the denominator has x square minus omega square, right? So a big assumption here is I'm saying, because your omega is much so the omega that I'm considering, that is this, right? That is this. That is much higher than the x. This is what I'm writing.
Sir, I just wanted to confirm one thing.
Sorry. 1 minute. Let me just. This is not correct. 1 minute. Just. Correct. Tell me. Yeah.
So we are using that assumption omega 0 is very greater than gamma.
Yes, very crucial.
Because while deriving the Kramers-Kronig relationship, we actually didn't take
We
that
did not take, right.
I omega gamma term. That
We
is the
did not
reason we
take.
can use the same expression.
Kind of, sort of, yes, that is correct. In principle, we just straight looked at omega minus omega 0. See, that is the whole point. I mean, Kramers-Kronig does not, it basically does not take damping in the picture. You have to, I will make you solve these things, okay? So there
No,
are...
no, 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 sir.
Huh?
Sir,
What?
so the calculation you have done is that omega 0,
Huh?
that is the pole. That is the pole.
Right.
So that
No.
contains already, if you solve for epsilon omega, so that already contains the gamma term. Means in the omega 0 itself.
Right, that is true.
This
That
is
is true.
just representation.
In the sense that, yeah. So see, what we can say is that these functions themselves have the pole that is there, but at the same time, the integral that we consider, that is very simplistically done. That I generally feel
No,
is...
that is not simplistically done, sir.
Huh?
That is that omega 0 is simply the pole of that function, right?
Yeah, is basically... you are... So I think what we should try to reason here is that we are trying to generate a relationship between the real part and the imaginary part. Okay.
Yes.
Now
And
the
omega
real
0,
part,
whichever can be happened.
correct. So the damping part is contained in this. Now I can say that I could have made this more complicated by putting... but I think the correct... I tend to agree with what Vishnu is saying. Basically, there is no need to complicate the problem, actually, right? There is no need
Yes.
to. The most important... what we are trying to do here is make a connection between this and that.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So
I got the
that
essence.
does not need this. That does not need putting gammas and all, right?
Yes, I got that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to point it out that we can do this case 1 and this case 2 and 3
Ah.
only when the omega 0 is much greater than gamma.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%. In fact, that's what I'm going to tell you. See, because these make the integrals very easily solvable. In fact, I can also tell you that the measurement experiment itself is tough. I'll show you. I'll tell you. We'll just tell you how it works. So basically, this is fine, right? So I'm basically saying that I am looking only at frequencies here which are much higher than the absorption of this of the system, where the absorption frequency of the system typically lies. So is this clear to everybody? What I'm trying to say is the absorption region of my system lies at a frequency which is much lower than the frequency I'm interested in to find the dispersion characteristic. So essentially that means I can perform this integral at only for those frequencies where the denominator, which is typically xy minus omega square, I can write it tacitly. I can just throw out that x square because I am not interested in the frequencies where x square and omega square are comparable. That is what I'm trying to do. Okay. And the next, another very significant assumption that I'm going to do, and what Rohan just now said, very much in line with that, is since absorption happens only around omega 0 plus minus gamma, I should say, this is the full width at half maxima, then I should probably say this as gamma by 2, because basically if this whole thing is gamma, then this part is gamma by 2, so I should say plus minus gamma by 2. Then, and omega 0 is much greater than gamma. Basically in the numerator, I can only consider x to be omega naught. This is a very big thing I'm doing. Am I making sense? I'm basically saying that there is no absorption at any other frequency except at x equal to omega naught, because this omega naught, this value of omega naught is much, much higher than this width of gamma. This is another very crucial assumption, because the moment so essentially we put x equal to omega naught in the numerator. Okay, which means that this becomes extremely simple. This just becomes minus 2 omega naught by pi omega square 0 to infinity epsilon 2x dx, right? Which basically means that this is given by minus pi by 2 omega naught limit omega tends to infinity epsilon no, there is an omega square, no, omega square epsilon 1 omega minus 1. There is a minus sign. Okay, so basically I am saying that if I know the value, now see, I've reversed the thing. I'm saying if I know the value of this dielectric constant at sort of high frequencies, I actually get to know the absorption characteristics. Okay, basically this is saying that the dispersion at very high frequencies is essentially going to tell me the absorption at a lower frequency, provided of course that the absorption happens over a narrowish line width. Okay, now again we can simplify this further, and why is that? Because I know, let me just make this smaller. Wow, double clicking make this smaller, I didn't know that. So by the way, you remember the formula for epsilon 1? Now epsilon 1 omega, what was that given by? It was something like omega p square omega 0 square minus omega square divided by omega 0 square minus omega whole square plus gamma square omega square, right? And what does it tell you? That this is basically for omega tending to infinity, this is what? Very large omega. I can write this as this is actually epsilon minus 1. This is, I think, epsilon omega minus 1, no? I think this is epsilon omega minus 1. Yeah, this is 1 plus. This is 1 plus, correct. This is 1 plus this whole thing, right? So this tending to infinity matlab ki you ignored this upar minus omega square, this is minus omega 4 gone. So basically this is nothing but minus omega p square by omega square. This is, I should write epsilon 1 omega. Oh yeah, just stop this and write this properly. Basically epsilon 1 omega minus 1 is minus omega p square by omega square, right? Which now straight away means that I can put this guy here and this omega square cancel. That means I have, therefore, your 0 to infinity epsilon 2x dx is something like pi by 2 omega 0 omega p square, right? Which means this omega p square, this p square So yeah, so this omega p square typically is just this kind of, if I so essentially what you have, this omega p square is given by so basically at very high frequency you will get something like 2 omega naught by pi like that. But in general there are, so this omega p square, remember, is the plasma frequency, right? So in general typically what we have is, if you kind of do not assume this this kind of simplification here, but where we have looked at only these high frequencies of omega, so of like yeah, very very high frequencies, typically you have, in more generally I should say, let me just make this smaller slightly. So in general your omega p square is something like this x epsilon 2x dx 0 to infinity. Okay, so that again you can kind of preempt from here, from these, if you basically consider that this is no longer a constant. Okay, which so see, now we have kind of tacitly made an approximation that we are only going to look at these high frequency kind of behaviors. We do not assume that any other intermediate and all that. But in general, these kind of relationships are called sum rules, where you find out the, I mean, so the characteristic at each frequency is kind of taken along with the amplitude or weight factor, and you just add continuously to finally build up the profile for this frequency. Okay, where this is a, for this particular case you can say that this rule, this is fine, but in general we do not throw off this denominator, and I mean we do not throw off this numerator, and we assume that is omega p square is basically some kind of a this kind of thing is called a sum rule, where there is a weight factor attached with the response. Okay, this is again a detail, this is not that critical, but what is important now is that we have the high frequency characteristic of epsilon 1 omega, how that behaves. Okay, now we shall just look at
Sir, I have a question.
bolo.
So can you go to that slide?
Huh.
Uh, Sir, when you simplified the integration, when you assume that this x is omega
Yeah,
naught,
only omega naught, correct, yes.
yes. So then you put x is equals to omega naught and took it out of the integral.
I know, yes.
But your epsilon 2x.
I know that is the thing. We do not consider that constant. I completely agree that
I don't know, sir. I did. I'm like, it's just two hand wavy.
yeah. See, you are basically saying how on earth I am, if I take that constant, why am I not considering? See, basically these are the tacit
So
assumptions that
not only that, there is another thing. Your epsilon 2x is finite only for omega naught plus minus gamma.
So essentially you can say, again, what I can tell you is, see, this, so I think this is more relevant when we are considering this part, what we wrote down here, right? So here we are kind of assuming that the contribution of x is the variation, I mean, in the sense that the weight factor that this x is going to provide is irrelevant for all possible frequencies except that one thing that we have. See, basically you can say that x, see, so we have this thing, right, where this is the width, in the sense that after this there is this epsilon 2 is 0. There is no absorption.
So isn't it like the first case where you did the delta function?
I know, yeah. So
So your
I
assu-
agree
so your
that these are
assumption reduces to that case only.
that case is not completely true, because we are putting
No,
some kind
are
of
you
a
talking about the integral or something? Means
no.
that
So
integral.
yeah. So basically, what Hitesh is saying is that if you consider x to be omega and fixed and take it out, then how come you are considering a
No.
variation of this?
Yes. So you don't have to take that. So do one thing. Do by parts, and then x will come out exactly, and the second part will go to 0 if you x tends to very high value. Do
That
that
also,
integral by parts.
yeah, that can be. But then see, Bishwajit, there is anyway assumption
By
that we are.
parts. So if
That.
you do by parts, then like you're taking x to your first function, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
So,
that
so
can
when
be.
you'll put the limit infinity,
Uh,
so then like x diverges, and epsilon 2x is what at infinity?
epsilon 2x at infinity is 0, right? In the sense that
0.
that does not exist without with when there is, it only exists over the small finite range. Yeah? So at infinity this goes to 0. So that
Yeah,
is possible,
that is
but
fine.
see,
But
yeah.
but
So
then when you do integration by parts, then there is another term where you integrate this epsilon 2x and differentiate one. Okay, that is fine. Yeah.
yeah, so that is fine. Yeah,
Then
that
then
may.
then there will be then it
Yeah,
will
But
be
in that case, you won't get this x naught term, would you?
no, yeah, that case you will basically. Okay. No, that limit. Yeah, so parts male you
No, by parts you
differentiate.
won't get x naught term.
You will not get x naught term. That is correct. You will not get x naught term. Correct. Now, I don't think we can avoid the fact that we are doing some kind of a.
Sir, we are basically giving this integral a treatment of the delta function, like
Correct,
in
something
some
like
sense.
that.
Like we're assuming
It's not even that. I don't know what is this.
No, it's
no.
not really delta
See,
function, Anirudh. Is it
no.
delta function? Because
Yeah,
we're
because
saying that
what
this.
delta function does is in that integral, delta function gives you the value of the function at that point. So essentially, taking the value of the function x to be x naught in this integral is kind of giving you the delta function like treatment.
So
And
then what?
But you're still integrating over epsilon 2. That's the problem.
so what we can see is that epsilon 2 is a function which is nearly zero at most frequencies,
Except
and
that.
in only a small neighborhood around omega naught, it
Yes,
has a
yes,
big
yes.
finite value.
So basically,
So
what we can argue again, guys, is that at very high frequencies of interest for the dispersion, it is only there that we can do these tukkas.
sir, can
Okay.
I finish my point?
Yeah. Okay.
So, in the region of, so our integration is mostly relevant in the region around omega naught.
Yes, this part.
And in
This
that
part.
region, epsilon 2x varies a lot, but
Yes,
x doesn't
this
vary a
one
lot.
does not vary. Exactly.
So in that
Exactly.
small region, x nearly stays the same, whereas epsilon 2x
Yes,
changes a lot.
that
So
is
x you
exactly
can
what
just
I was trying to
approximate
say.
as omega naught and take
Right,
it out, whereas
right.
integrate over epsilon 2, which varies a lot.
So basically, you are finding out the area of the curve here. Okay, this is basically what you're trying to find out is the area of the curve between this region, because this is because remember x is like a fixed frequency, and in the sense that at other frequencies of x, this is not existing at all. Epsilon 2 does not exist. Okay, so that is a crucial assumption, right? This is a very this is a very important assumption. This is a very crucial assumption, that I'm saying that this dies out so quickly, this epsilon 2, I mean, in the sense this gamma is so small that when you actually go slightly out of that, epsilon 2 has already gone to very low values. So this does not make any sense. So the weight factor over the interval or in which epsilon 2 is finite is almost constant. Okay, so we are trying to say that we find out the area of the curve or the area of the absorption profile, because if you do not do that, then it doesn't make any sense, right? I'm trying to find out the area of the curve within this domain where the weight factor does not have any variation, because I'm looking at extremely small regions where when the weight factor is changing significantly, my epsilon 2 has already become 0 or very low. Okay, just think of. So
Sir,
that is basically what I'm trying to
I mean,
say.
if the region is small, even epsilon 2 will, like the variation in epsilon 2 will be small as well.
No, of course
No,
not.
that's the
Arre,
thing.
that is the thing.
Epsilon,
Arre,
epsilon
Hitesh,
2 varies a lot in the
there is a
scale of
lot. Hitesh, you're not following. This varies a lot. This does not vary at all. That is the whole point. This is does not vary at all, so I take it out. Think of this. This is my absorption, right?
Okay, so
Whereas this
no,
is,
the integration limits for x is from 0 to infinity.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you
That is
mean by that?
actually no, but 0 to infinity is this relationship, right? So this is mostly 0 at all points except this part. Right, that is very crucial. So we are only, see, the problem is that there is a lot of, I'm telling you guys, this is a lot of assumptions here. I do not, this is what I wrote crucially, right? This is finite only over this part, other parts is done. So this is, I'm saying that the absorption is only happening over a certain finite small region.
Yes,
I'm
that is
saying,
fine. I completely agree with that. My only problem is that you can't just take x as omega naught and take it out of the integral, because you're
as
integrating over x, which varies from 0
I
to
know,
infinity.
I agree
We are
that
not
too.
integrating over x, right? So see, we are
We are
integrating.
integrating over x.
No, we are not integrating
No,
over
no,
just x. We are
over
integrating
this,
over x times epsilon 2. And x
yes,
times epsilon 2 is
exactly,
nearly 0. Like the multiplication
exactly,
of x times epsilon
exactly,
2 is 0 for
exactly.
most of the values except for
Right.
the neighborhood of omega
Except
naught.
this small thing.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah, you
So,
I
so
can
in
use
that
this as a
case
multiplicative
so,
function, right?
sir,
you just take out the
may I
integrate itself,
Aha.
because
Anirudh,
हाँ,
yeah. So
one thing,
what
Hitesh.
Anirudh bolo? Huh?
So you agree with the fact that x times epsilon 2 is can be neglected for most of the
Most
values
places.
except for the neighborhood
Right.
of
yes, that is
omega
only
naught.
because of the behavior of epsilon 2x.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. Correct.
And in the neighborhood of omega naught, since
Ha,
epsilon 2 gives weightage to x,
Huh.
yes.
in that neighborhood x doesn't vary a lot.
Doesn't vary a lot.
No,
Exactly.
x times epsilon 2 doesn't
Exactly.
vary a lot.
No,
Not
even
No,
x
no.
doesn't vary
X
a
does
lot,
not
right?
vary. Again, Ritesh, you're missing the point. X does not vary a
X
lot.
varies from omega naught minus gamma to omega naught plus gamma, which is a very small range.
Yes. Yes. Correct.
The variation in x in that range is just plus minus gamma by 2.
Yes. Okay. So
Right.
I'm basically taking the average value.
So
I'm taking the
x
average
nearly
value.
stays at the range of omega only. Like that
Right.
doesn't change the value of integral too much. The
That is what I'm
main
saying. Yeah. This is crucial. No, this
the
point is
main thing
very.
that's changing is epsilon 2, which goes up and
Yes.
down very quickly in that
Yes.
range.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. This is precisely what we are doing, and again we'll do the same for the other case. So Hitesh,
Sir, if we'll
yeah,
just integrate over omega naught minus gamma to omega
hello,
naught plus gamma instead of 0 to
hello,
infinity. Hel- oh, hello. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Hitesh. I think sir is.
Hitesh, क्या हुआ? I am there.
I'm saying कि instead of
हाँ.
integrating from 0 to infinity, you can like you
Yeah,
can just
this
take the
limit
omega
you
naught
can change.
minus omega to omega naught plus gamma.
Yeah, that is convention. I mean, 0 to infinity we can change to omega minus gamma to omega plus gamma by 2. That is perfectly fine.
But then the last equality
I
won't,
already
like
said
the
this.
limit omega
I
tends to
have
infinity,
already
the
said
last
this.
equality.
Yeah,
But
I have
then,
already said this, right?
but
So that
then
basically means that this 0 to infinity actually is very small. That is for sure. See, what is crucial is when I'm reversing this here.
Sir, you're not audible.
IJK network is too bad.
If that is true, can I write this?
Sir, you are not audible for last
I'm not
2 minutes.
audible. Hey, okay, wait. Okay, so can you hear me now? What I'm saying? Am I
Yes.
fine?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, what I tried to say was that this whole treatment, the crucial result is this guy. Okay, let me rub this and try to make this red. This is just too big, guys. Let me just write. This is the crucial part. This part. This is the very, very crucial part. This is very important, right? So what we are trying to say is that this can be written only provided this is true, which means that I am looking at this epsilon 1 omega, I mean the high frequency behavior of the dispersion, which will give my absorption over the entire sort of a finite range, tacitly implies that this is only over a very small frequency range. Otherwise, I cannot write this. I can never write this. I could only write this because this 0 to infinity actually is true from omega minus gamma by 2 to omega plus gamma by 2. Okay, this is very crucial. Remember, we are looking at high frequency behavior of epsilon, and other thing that we shall look at now is the low frequency behavior of epsilon. Okay, and see, what we are going to write down is some kind of a prescription for trying to find out the resonance frequency. Can we find out the resonance of a system? Okay, this is what we are trying to find. Remember, these are actual, experimentally measurable things that we are talking about. And any kind of experiment, when we sort of do, we actually see that there are some assumptions in the theory which yield the same result or very sort of close results, statistically similar results as what we get in the experiment. Okay, so let us, when we look at the other part, I think it will be somewhat more clearer. And the case 3 is the low frequency behavior of epsilon 1 omega. So again, here what we shall do, and I think you guys can sort of preempt this from what we had in the last time. There we said that your omega was, we were looking at those omegas at which I had, I could throw away my x. Okay, here it is the ulta, completely opposite. So basically what I'm going to write is this. By this. So basically I'm looking at those omegas which are much smaller than the frequencies at which my absorption is happening. Okay, so that is again, I'm saying that is something where, see, these are again real phenomena that I'm saying. I'm using the real phenomena in my theory to get to, again, some interesting limits which I can use in experiments. Okay, so the moment I say this, it becomes simple, right? So again, this becomes like that. And once more, we use the fact that epsilon 2x is finite only around omega 0 plus minus gamma by 2, which means that this becomes this. Basically this. Hitesh is probably angry again, but again,
Sir, I'm not happy, sir.
you're not happy. But again, what I'm saying is, as the variation, you have to look. So see, now this is okay, right? So basically, in a sense that we are again saying that the variation of
Sir,
x epsilon 2 is much larger than the change in x.
Sir.
This is what we are saying. Huh?
I've given a like I used a simple function to demonstrate this. I sent an image on the group. If you can check that.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just check. Where did you send? Should I have to stop presenting?
No, on the WhatsApp group, if you can check.
Oh, WhatsApp group. Ore baba re. Okay. Then let me. Oh, okay. Oh, great. Let me just import this. Just guys, wait a second. Let me import. Oh, baba. How do I? Oh shit! It's only forward. 1 second. Share. Just bear with me. WhatsApp. Not WhatsApp. What am I doing here? Share. Gmail. One minute, guys. This is, I think, nice what Anirudh has done. I'll put this in the thing.
Sir, I think we are interpreting it like it's not correct way to interpret. Like you said, we can simply take out x
Hmm.
out as omega naught,
Hmm.
but I think what essentially it is like what Anirudh has sent from
Hmm.
here. If you do integration by parts, and then you then the first term is 0, but the second integral there you first have to integrate f of u. So
1
there
minute.
you
Let me.
get 50 out.
How will you
It's
get
not-
50 out?
If you integrate over this
50 is
integrate
not
from
the
0 to
result of any
500
integration.
f of
50 is
u.
the value
No,
where the epsilon peaks.
Yes.
they're absolute. That is fine.
50 you don't get from any integration. It's
Right.
you can only get
It
50
is
from
just
an
the value
approximation.
at which this thing peaks, right? So let me just copy this and share. How do I copy this? Oh shit, man.
Sir, I think we need
Copy. No, I'll put this in the
It's-
notes. This is nice. Let me just put this here. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh. Right. So basically, okay. So this is again, I think, illustrating what point that we had. What Anirudh has quickly done is that you have this valid for a very small thing, and if you have this kind of a function, it is the same whether you take it outside or inside, provided it falls very fast. Exactly. This is an illustration of what I think. This is nice. I think this is quite nice.
Can someone check the group again? I have sent another function which contradicts this.
Yeah, but that probably depends on what you are taking, right?
I'm taking a Lorentzian function.
Yeah, but it will probably depend on your width, no?
The width is less than, I
yeah,
guess.
in your case it's very close to this thing and the width is very
Width is large. It is
comparable
much.
to omega naught.
Yeah,
Then if gamma
you're
is
very
comparable
close
to
there,
omega
yeah.
naught, then it won't work.
Then it is not going to work.
Sir,
That
but
is the whole point, guys.
But the
This is
limit
not
is
going
also
to work.
large.
Huh?
The limit is also
Ah.
large.
No, that doesn't matter. Arey, guys, you are missing the main point, man. Limit doesn't matter. What matters is that the frequency over which, the
I change
region
the
over
limits
which,
for a lot of limits. It doesn't.
it
change.
doesn't
Like,
work.
you
So
can try
obviously,
it
this
for
is
0 to 100, 0 to 500, 0 to 700. The answer stays the same.
exactly illustration that x fx for eh, fx rather finite over
My thing worked
very
because 50, like the delta
small
x or the
x
width is 1 compared
is
to
same
50.
as x fx.
Okay,
Yeah,
I changed the width, it is working now.
exactly. Yeah. Arey, guys, this is not something which you are discovering. This is something. Obviously, I like the fact that you guys are really testing this, but it has to work. Because anyway, good that you're testing it out. I like it. Very nice. This is how we should proceed. Okay, but now I think Rohan, you check that if you change this, it has to work, right? Because see, that is the whole point. When we so just bear with me. Let us just write down the conclusion. Okay, the conclusion will be that I'll not say that. Anyway, so now very good. So now this is kind of illustrated. Okay, this is dx. Okay, so now okay, so let us thanks Anirudh for that. Very nice. Rohan also good. Quick stuff you guys are doing. So basically what I want to say here is that this dx is pi omega 0 by 2 limit omega tends to 0 epsilon 1 x minus 1, right? And again from using that formula that we had, so your limit omega tends to 0 epsilon 1 omega 1 minus 1 is nothing but omega p square by omega 0 square. वो करके देखो, that is trivial, right? Because वो नीचे minus whole omega square था. So now you can not neglect, you neglect omega squared with respect to omega 0, right? Which means that I have, therefore, your 0 to infinity epsilon 2x dx is pi by 2 omega 0 omega p square, right? Right? So now think of it, both of these are like, I had this value, I mean where this thing we had, and we also had the other part, right? And both were looking at the same kind of characteristic for epsilon 2x. Remember, I am not changing the characteristics of my absorption, right? It is only that I am saying that these characteristics, this particular characteristic of absorption allows me to write these things for my dispersion profile, right? So that means now, since we considered the same profile for epsilon 2 to generate two conditions for epsilon 1, we basically can write just too small, no? We basically can write minus pi by 2 omega. Basically, we can just equate this to limit omega tends to infinity omega square epsilon 1 of omega minus 1 is pi by omega 0 by 2 limit omega tends to 0 epsilon 1 omega minus 1, right? Which basically, so by pi by 2 cancels off, and this allows me to say that my omega 0 square is kind of, there is a minus sign, so I think we typically don't really care about the sign because this is actually a number. Very, very nice. This is what we can say. Okay, so this is very loaded. This statement that I have made here is very loaded. Why? Because this is actually telling you that I can find out the resonance frequency of absorption of the system by measuring the dispersion at high frequencies and at low frequencies.
Sir, there will be a omega square term in the lower.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very sorry. Yes, yes. So this is, however, this is a very crucial finding that we get from the Kramers-Kronig relationships. So we are basically saying that we can get an idea of the system response or the absorption response from the behavior of the system, the dispersive behavior of the system at high frequencies and at low frequencies. Okay. And there I can tell you basically, so your resonance frequency can be measured from permittivity measurements at microwave and optical frequencies. The intermediate part is problematic, is very problematic, because that really does not allow you to get, this kind of clean thing you will never ever get. Okay. You basically cannot really, make an estimate of how the system will respond in terms of its absorptive characteristics by measuring the permittivity at, say, terahertz or something like that. Microwave matlab, it is much lower. Okay. So this is a very crucial finding that actually tells you, as I had probably preempted at some point of time, that this whole thing of Kramers-Kronig is something that has a lot of importance in actual systematics, actual experiments, actual way we understand, we really measure system response. Okay. So yeah, again, I am telling you again, I mean, I can think it's very clear from the treatment that we have done that we are looking at extreme behaviors. We are not looking at intermediate systems, at in intermediate response. Intermediate response is convoluted. Okay, we do not get clean sort of information. Basically, it's probably better to say that there is no clean information obtained at intermediate frequencies about your system characteristics. You can always measure the dispersion, but the dispersion does not give you a very clean. So they're all sort of, intertwined or mixed. I mean, one affects the other, so you do not get clean measure. So this is also very interesting, right? So you are actually measuring a sort of frequency of the dispersion characteristics when the absorption is not making a sort of problem. Very crucial, because so we can actually conclude that even measuring the permittivity is different, because the system has absorption, finite and strong absorption there. Very important. So let me note this down. Do you concur with what I'm saying? Even performing clean measurements of permittivity at intermediate frequencies is complicated, is non-trivial. Smaller. Okay, so yeah, what do you feel? What is the takeaway? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I find this quite really interesting. What do you guys feel? I know, yeah, I think this has been a very interesting class for me. What is your take? We shall end. So this is basically the end of our discourse on Kramers-Kronig. I will give you some problems to work on. Basically, you get one of these, you get functional forms of this, and you can actually find out the corresponding other set. So one very interesting problem is conductivity. Okay, so we shall actually give you, you remember that at low frequencies the conductivity is static, right? So we are actually going to give you this very nice problem. We are going to find out this conductivity of metals and all from this Kramers-Kronig relationships. Okay, yeah. So what is the feeling of the class? I shall stop presenting. So one thing that this is basically, we have kind of finished about half our syllabus. Okay, after this we will look at anisotropic media. We'll do a bit of isotropic stuff, a little bit of energy and all in isotropic media we'll look at, after which we shall start anisotropic media, and I will go on to, then we will do anisotropic media is very interesting because it tells you about birefringent materials and polarization and all those stuff. What is the meaning? What is the physics of that? Remember when we, in our system of that optical trap that we showed, we actually use these wave plates etc. to rotate polarization. So we shall now learn the physics of that. After which we'll look at we'll directly go into the properties of light in the sense of how light interacts with mirrors and all. So things of there's this very nice thing called ABCD laws and all, where how beams like just light ray optics, light propagates after it hits an mirror and lens and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so after which we will look at Gaussian beams, that is properties of Gaussian real beams which are Gaussian. Of course, diffraction theory is where we end. So next class, I think we have covered half the journey. I want you guys to speak. I want everyone in the course to come out and tell me what they feel about what we have done. What do you think we have covered? This is important. Everyone in the course, I will send out an email right today itself. Everyone in the course, everybody will get, maybe we have like what, we're supposed to have 30 people, only 20 of you attend. So in 3 minutes, you got to tell me what you think we have covered in the course, and what is your takeaway, what you feel, what is the physics we have covered, and physics and whatever, if you have anything particular to think what you have found fascinating, what you have not found fascinating. What is your journey in this course? I want everybody to tell me. Is that clear? 3 minutes maximum to all. You can use slides if you want. Even if you don't have slides, it's fine. But I want everyone to talk about what we have covered in the course and what is your takeaway and what you want, if there are things that is not good, what we can do differently or whatever. But what do you think we have covered in this course? I really want this feedback because I am not getting anything to hear from, other than these 4-5 people, nobody talks. I have no idea. Okay, so I want everyone to talk and describe to me what we have covered, what you feel, and what are the interesting things in physics that you have come upon. What has excited you, what has not excited you, anything. I'm quite open, and I want everybody to come out and talk. Is that acceptable? I want a summary of what you have learned till now. That, and if there are any issues that you're facing, that is very important. And it should be just 3 minutes each, because again, it is important for us to take stock where we are, because this is a crazy time that is going on. I do not have proper reasonable ways of evaluating as well. What we are doing is assignments, and while my hope is that you're doing it independently, I know that fact is probably not very similar to what I'm hoping. Any questions about that? Any thoughts? Is this acceptable?
Sir, when are we supposed to do this?
Thursday.
Oh, this week.
What is the problem? This is not an examination, boss. Not an examination.
I think everyone has an exam tomorrow at 6.
So Thursday, 5 o'clock. What is the problem? And you have one whole day, right? And again, Priyanuj, I mean, this is not.
I was just telling them. Okay, like if it's 3 minutes, I guess it should be possible.
3 minutes, yeah. I mean, I want everybody. See, because I hope you appreciate, right? I mean, I'm sitting in front of a damn computer and just talking here. I cannot see anybody. I only hear some discourse from 4 or 5 of you. I do not have anybody else, whether they're coming, whether they are with me, they are not with me. I have absolutely no idea. I get assignments. I know those are group efforts. Everybody does that. When we were young, we also did that. I know that that's what happens. However, I want to know what you think we have covered I want to talk to everybody. That is it. That is my, very finite and I hope humble requirement. Okay. Everyone has to talk the next week. I know that there are about 10 of you who are not coming, and that is not good, because again, exams are a way of finding out whether they are in the course, whether they are doing anything. But this is not good. Okay. This way, it is even more difficult for me to understand what is happening. Okay. So 3 minutes, everyone, maximum 3 minutes. Okay. But you cannot remain dumb and speak 3 words in 3 minutes. Okay. Everybody has to speak what they have learned, what is interesting that they feel is what they did not know before. Very crucial. What you did not know before, which you have learned new in this course, and how you are looking. So maybe, if I just look at 3 slides, if you want to make it that way, 3 slides. First slide, what you have learned. Second slide, what you think is interesting, what you liked. Third, what do you want to happen, what you think should happen. Is that okay? I think that makes the job easier for you. And if you copy the slides, you will all be caught in front of each other. Okay. See, because I'm saying this because I could have started anisotropic media next class, but that is so different from what we did now. I want this Kramer's tonic to settle in. Okay, this is very interesting, very nice. I want this to settle in. Okay, then I want to start something completely new, and that I want to start next week. Is that acceptable? Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And sir,
Bishwajit.
Sir, in the assignment, when you will get something means to do from Kramer's conic, so then I should ask them. So they should tell us means why that is a response function, means should elaborate why you can apply Kramer's conic to that.
Exactly.
It has to be a response function.
So this assignment, 100%. So this assignment is probably coming tomorrow. Okay, and you'll get time. This is going to be a tough assignment. Straight. I'll give you 10 days time. This is going to be a tough assignment. Maybe 3 problems, but it's going to be a tough one. I'm telling you this straight. Only Kramer's tonic. Okay. three problems. One is very simple, other two are not. Okay, and 10 days would be good. Maybe I'll just discuss with Vishwajit as well. Okay, Vishwajit, just stay back after everybody leaves. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So then Thursday.